Greetings, people of YouTube. My name is Nicholas Campbell, and welcome to Campbell's Commentary. Yes, I pronounced Campbell and Campbell simultaneously. Don't judge me for it. Alright, and today we have an article from Newsweek here on Microsoft News, which will be our primary news platform. News article platform, yeah. Okay, from Newsweek. Over 200 Donald Trump documents to be handed over in huge court defeat. A story by Alex Phillips from 10 hours ago. A former White House aide in the Trump administration has been ordered by a judge to hand over between 200 and 250 emails from an encrypted account as they identified as related to presidential business. It comes after FBI agents raided Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence in Palm Beach, Florida, in August 2022 to obtain documents from his time in the White House under the Presidential Records Act, or PRA. More than 13,000 documents were seized, 103 of which were classified. The ruling by Colleen Cotelli, or however you pronounce that, I'm sorry if I just butchered that. I think I'll just call her Cotley, and to make things simple and easy. Yeah. U.S. District Judge for the District of Columbia on Thursday marks a stunning legal defeat for Peter Navarro, a former assistant to the president who oversaw trade policy and, in the last few weeks of the Trump presidency, published a report alleging widespread election fraud. Given the fact that they found 50,000 error votes in Michigan, here in Michigan, I wouldn't be surprised if there was actually a lot more election tampering than what was let on. I'm not suggesting anything here. Just making that clear to you and clear to people that I think there was a lot more than what was talked about. Navarro refused to produce any of the emails until he had been granted immunity for the act of returning the records. Court documents show, after which the lawsuit was filed by the United States government. It is unclear exactly what the contents of the email pertain to and could prove damaging to Trump as he faces other legal challenges amid a 2024 presidential bid. I don't know what those legal challenges are or could be, but they went hog wild with that man in the media for the entirety of his presidency. I'm not gonna lie. I think that most of those legal charges are likely going to be bumpkiss. I'm sorry for some of you who might be watching this, but that is what I think. I think most of what was talked about President Trump, it was just was mostly just exaggerated nonsense to try and spin a tale and get ratings. I'm sorry again to other people who might be listening, but to me I think a lot of what was talked about President Trump was nonsense. And whatever future legal challenges he may face, I'm almost certain most it's either going to be nonsense too, or exaggeration, or both. Yeah. Navarro. Wait. Did I already read that? Oh, yeah, I did. The National Archives and Records Administration, or NARA, first became aware of the emails on the private account through a House investigation into the White House's coronavirus pandemic response. In her ruling, Judge Cotley said lawyers for Navarro had told officials in July 2022 they had found more than 1,700 documents on his personal Proton mail account using search terms provided by NARA. Based on their review of these documents, they said that between 200 and 250 of them were PRA records that should be returned to the nation. Coatley had called for immediate compliance from Navarro that the court would oversee. In her ruling, she noted that under the PRA, presidential aides must copy and record any records that relate to official business from non-official accounts to their government email account within 20 days, and to NARA at the end of the administration. Coatley pointed to a February 2022 memorandum issued by the White House counsel's office, which informed employees of these requirements, stating, "Presidential records are the property of the United States. When you leave executive office of the president, employment, you may not take any presidential records with you." Well, given the fact that President Biden has literally just done that himself within recent news covering, not recent, what's the term I'm looking for? Relevant news covering? I don't know. News covering that happened within the past few months. That's what we'll just go with. No bother cherry picking that one. Okay, where was I? Plainly, he did neither during his tenure in the White House, nor has he forwarded presidential record emails in the years since. The judge wrote in an at times scathing judgment, currently denying Navarro's motion to dismiss the case, describing his argument as without merit, and granted the motion put to her by the U.S. government. Given the state of the situation within the White House and the instability that was going on both during and after the President Trump administration, I question whether or not Navarro's motion was without merit, because during the bulk of the Trump administration, there were a lot of people that were outright against the man and how he was doing things. I wouldn't be surprised if there were just plain a bunch of bad actors just flat out lying to him. I mean, there were already those reports of the generals reporting false information to him about what was going on in Syria. So I wouldn't be too surprised if they were for some reason to find a lot more than what they're leading on. All right. Newsweek reached out to Navarro via email for comment. For years, Trump has claimed various investigations and probes into his affairs as politically motivated witch hunts, and has suggested that the federal government was being used against him by his political enemies. Well, like I just said 5 minutes ago, there was a lot of bad actors that were outright against the man. And some public, some private, and the press was just outright hands down against the man throughout most of his presidency. I wouldn't be surprised if at least one actor within the entire presidency was against him. Yeah. The amount of bad press that man received, along with even the Speaker of the House just outright glaring at him, and during that one State of the Union address where she ripped up the paper. It just wouldn't be surprising to me that some of his political opponents would be using the seat of power given to them to try and try and dissuade or demotivate him. It's just the evidence is just too consistent to say otherwise. All right. He was quick to draw a comparison between the FBI raid of his property and the revelations that Joe Biden, his successor as president, had also been found to have stored official documents in his home in Wilmington, Delaware, and his office at the Penn Biden Center in Washington, D.C. Yeah, they did have that one picture come out showing that large group of boxes in his garage. And President President Trump's comparisons, I wouldn't say are without plausibility, because there's just they found a crap ton of documents pertaining to a crap ton of evidence pertaining to both the current president Joe Biden and previous congressional officials hiding, carrying, and storing federal documents in areas that should not have been. However, while Trump's lawyers claimed ahead of the Mar-a-Lago raid that all classified documents had been handed over, Biden's lawyers notified the National Archives as soon as they discovered the documents in his personal possession. Navarro was last year indicted for 2 counts of contempt of Congress over his refusal to comply with a subpoena issued by the House committee on the January 6th uprising. He vowed to fight the case in a statement on his website. Okay, I'm sorry, but January 6th was not an uprising. It was a riot. Anyone who's paid attention to all the social media postings that were going on about that incident, and saw the recently released Tucker Carlson documentary, showed that it was not an insurrection. It was a goddamn riot. What happened in D.C. on January 6th was not an insurrection. What happened in Portland and in Georgia, those were insurrections, because the people there set up large encampments and called them autonomous zones. And autonomous zones and set areas of land that are supposed to be officially independent from the country that they're in. Effectively speaking, they are rebels. I'm sorry, but what happened in January 6th is not an insurrection or an uprising. It was just plain a riot. Okay. All right, I'm gonna stop there, and I'm gonna stop there. Yeah. Thank you for listening to my rant, and for tuning into this video. My name is Nicholas Campbell, as I stated at the beginning. Have a nice day.